Welcome to another 21 Hats Dashboard. I'm here with Jonathan Grzybowski, who is co-founder of Penji, a platform that provides marketing services, especially to small businesses. Welcome to the podcast, Jonathan.
Lauren, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Great to have you here. Tell us more. What does Penji do?
What the heck is Penji?
Yeah.
It's a great question. It's one of those things where you ask that question and depending upon how you ask it, you may get a different answer. But at this exact moment, Penji is a creative subscription service. So if you ever have a problem about hiring or finding reliable creative talent, rather than hiring somebody in-house or hiring a freelancer or even considering a marketing agency, Penji can immediately drop into your business within minutes. And as soon as you become a customer, you'll be paired with top talent, and the project that you submit to within Penji will be delivered to you within 24 hours.
So Penji is a gig platform, sort of like TaskRabbit or Fiverr or one of those?
Yeah. So I would say it is one of those, with the exception that it's slightly more personalized. And I think that's the key differentiation between Penji and, those other services that you create.
How so?
So with a service like TaskRabbit or even like Fiverr, right? You're basically having to choose within your own to the best of your ability, who's the right fit for your business. Now, you can determine that based on reviews of these particular people. You could do that based on reviews of the service itself. You could look at their portfolio. You're making decisions for your business that may not necessarily be the most qualified. Then when you speak to the person, they end up saying, yes, I'll do it. And then they do the task, and then you receive it, and then it may not be up to the expectations that you're hoping for. With Penji, we have the trusted name of our business and brand. So it's up to us in order to find the right talent for you and make a decision that's best suited, that we believe has the highest probability of you receiving a project of quality that is up to your liking. If at any point in time that you don't like it, we can find somebody else to assign onto your business account, whatever it may be. And then we'll complete as many revisions as possible until we get it right. I can't necessarily say the same when it comes to these other platforms, because the other platforms, they allow you the ability to pay more in order to receive either quality work, faster work, more revisions, whatever. We bake that into the cost of our subscription service, and we're going to be pairing you with the people that we believe that you will like. And if you do like these people, then you can work with them as often as you like. And I use the analogy of the barber analogy. Every time you get your hair cut, you want to be cut by the same barber. If you get cut by somebody else, you're probably going to look ugly, stupid, foolish, whatever it may be.
Or at least that's the fear.
That's my fear. Very much so my fear. This one in particular with Penji, we want to make sure that you have your barber every single time that you submit a project, because that person is going to be able to know what you like, what you don't like, and they'll be able to give you a completed project faster because they understand you better.
How do you handle that selection process? Is that automated, or is a human looking over your needs and trying to do it individually?
So with technology, I'd say a combination of both. I'll start with the technological aspects of it, and that's kind of why Penji, is because when you submit a project, you select your project based on the industry, but also in addition to that, based on the project type. We then go use our technology and AI that allows us the ability to say, well, this person in particular has had the highest rating based on XYZ parameters, and we believe that this person is the best fit for your business and for your project. That's the technological aspects. However, as you could probably assume, technology is not always correct. So therefore, we do need a human being in order to process it. And if the client does like that particular designer, then we can always ask that customer if they want to be paired with them for life. That doesn't mean that they'll be paired forever, but at least paired more often. And then the more people, at least in the very beginning as a customer, the more people that you like, the more probability you have of, you know, working with the same people and over again. And then the next question line that you might probably ask is, well, you know, what about this person? Are they a good person? Are they a good fit? Can you have multiple people on the account? And the answer is yes, because another benefit of Penji and a differentiation of the services that you mentioned, you're only getting the skill set of one person. So if you need like a logo project, right? Or if you need like a flyer, or if you need a website built, this is unfortunately is not the same skill set of designer. It's no different than you coming to your house and saying, well, I need my pipes fixed, my electrical done, and I also need my roof completed. I mean, sure, a general contractor might be able to do all that, but for the most part, the point of a general contractor is to be able to understand their resources and know who to refer to and project manage the entire task. And that's more or less what Penji is doing as well. So we want your one business to have multiple designers on the account with multiple different types of skill sets, because you won't be able to do that if you were to bring that in-house.
So do you have people who handle pretty much all the skills required in marketing, from graphic design to, I mean, you mentioned logos and website building. Do you cover the waterfront?
Yeah, anything digital related, and we're slowly scratching our itch more or less into other services as well. But if it's digital marketing related, then we as a service Penji can handle that.
Who are your target customers?
So in the very beginning of our service, 10 plus years or so ago, it was startups, right? It was like young companies. But as we're slowly identifying, even the past 10 years, our target audience and things like that, we're realizing that the best customers are the people who are creative themselves, but work within an existing team. We don't particularly want to, although we will, work with one single person businesses. We find it best that we work best with existing teams, so like enterprise teams. And I'll give you a couple of examples, and also digital marketing agencies that have existing teams, that have clients, that need ongoing work. And in the case of the enterprise route, we have a client that's a large organization that works in the printing space, that is not your sister's printing company. And I'll use that
I think I catch your drift.
Yeah. So this large printing company is a client, and what they want is they have an internal creative marketing person. However, they don't have an executioner that allows them the ability to produce at scale. This person manages the entire website. They need creatives done in a timely fashion, but it's usually in the quantities of like hundreds to 200 particular types of file sizes and imagery changes and things like that. You submit that to Penji and it gets done in 24 hours. So this allows them the ability to produce at scale, but also has the human aspect of it to make sure that it's done right. And they've been a trusted customer for years, so they know that regardless of using AI to do so, they don't have to triple check the work. They could just submit it to the website and it'll be done right.
One of the pain points I hear most often from business owners is they often debate whether, when they need marketing help, whether to hire someone or to outsource the work. And I think, the trade-offs are, if you hire someone, it's, can you afford to pay them well enough to get somebody who's really good? If you outsource, you worry about how much that's going to cost, and will that agency or whoever it is really get to know your business, and will you get their best people paying attention to you? Someone in that situation, is Penji an answer?
100%. And I will say this on record, just based on the current economic climate. I find it really difficult for small business owners to truly justify bringing on an internal person for marketing tasks. The cost of doing it is just astronomically high, and decreases of margins. Not that I don't think that that is a good fit, because I certainly think it can be a good fit. But I would say if you're a small business owner and you're worried about just surviving for the next 2, 3, 5 years, I think you should deeply consider outsourcing. Um, However, when you're able to grow, I still think that you can bring on a creative arm in the business and still use Penji. But I think that creative person internally has to do more than just like creative work, especially with the use cases of AI. Like, again, for small business owners, you need more or less a multi-tool of a human being where they're able to access your AI agents, be able to manage a service like Penji or whatever it may be, in addition to making sure that they're bringing in revenue for the business in order to help you grow.
Are you a competitor to digital marketing agencies then? Or did I hear you say that you actually work with some of them? Do you give them support as well?
So some people would say that we are a competitor to that, but I would say no. They're like one of our best customers because they're the people that need ongoing work on a consistent basis. And more often than not, a lot of agencies, they very rarely do any of the businesses actually have somebody in house that does the work. It's no different than like large organizations outsourcing IT. I think like there's a study that was done not that long ago where like 98% of all IT work is outsourced. And that same is true more or less for marketing agencies. And that's actually been like the best part about our business, but also the worst part about our business. The best part about our business is they're great clients. The worst part about it is that a lot of the digital marketing agencies doesn't want their customers to know that we exist. So when we more or less say, "Hey, did you have a good experience?" "Yeah, I love you, but I can't really talk about you because I don't want anybody else to know that I use you." It's kind of odd because a lot of people don't really understand or feel guilty about the aspects of outsourcing. And if they find out that they're using a service like ours, they will probably come back and say, "Well, you know, my client could just do it, right? They could just use Penji, and then there won't be a need for me." Um, so it's kind of like the best thing, but also the worst thing at the same time. But it has allowed us to be where we are today.
I certainly know marketing agencies that have their own staff that handle graphic design and content and other aspects of marketing. Are you talking about working with agencies of a particular size that that don't have that kind of support on staff?
So I would challenge slightly, and I would say that a lot of marketing agencies claim that they do it all, right? But I would say what I've experienced at least is they are primarily the project manager and they are the delegator. But rarely have I actually been able to see a designer more or less be a part of like the agency process. It's usually like, well, I work for a marketing agency, but I do all the marketing, I do all the advertising, I do all the thinking and the brain power. And that's more or less like a great person that would ultimately be for Penji because they come up with the ideas, they talk to the client, but then they just more or less say to Penji, "Hey, do this," right? This is the client. Client is called Love Incorporated, and they need a heart logo. I spoke to them. These are the color palettes that we want to use. This is what we want it to look and feel, and then I need you to go ahead and do it. And then that's more or less how Penji gets our business.
Got it. Who are your people? Who does this work? Where are they located? How many do you have?
We have hundreds of people throughout the world. And one of the coolest factors that as a business owner, I'd say one of the coolest things that I'm proud of is the fact that we've serviced over 80 we have clients in 80 different countries and we have people in over 15 countries. So in terms of people, I mean, the designers, the creatives, the art directors, the support people, and they're all scattered throughout the world who are amazing people that I've graciously been able to meet, and clients that I've had relationships with for years.
How many people are there?
Over 500.
That must be an interesting management challenge.
It's extremely difficult.
What have you learned?
What have I learned? I learned this is my learning over the course of the past couple of months. Actually, I think you have to be careful with your investment of time, and sometimes when you believe something, you believe in a particular individual to be able to do to be great at their position. And it's kind of like that. How about that? I'll look at it this way. It's like that guy or girl that you met in high school or college, and you're like, but if I could change them, and like you waste so much time being like, oh yeah, but like just two more meetings, I think they're really close to getting it, and then they ended up never getting it because they're just not. That's not who they are. And I would say that the one thing that I learned very early, relatively recently, is don't invest all of your time in trying to change people or train specific types of individuals to do a job. It's either the job can be unclear, but if they're good enough, they will most likely ask questions about the unclarity of that job task. And if it is clear, they'll be able to just grab it and do it and complete it 110% versus getting it to like 99.
That's interesting. Probably a very different approach than you would take if these were full-time employees you were talking about.
Well, I would say we do. I mean, all of our team members are full-time employees, right? In terms of the U.S. accounting principles, they are not considered, full-time employees, but they do work 40 hours a week. Like every single person works 40 hours a week.
For Penji.
For Penji, yeah. 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 Like all of these people work 400 hours a week. Most of them are client facing. So they work more or less for the client and the client gives them the tasks. The client more or less can be multiple clients. Like one designer can have like 10 clients, for example, and they're assigned to those particular clients and they work with whatever task. They go through our website on penji.co and then they submit the project in our app, and then the app gets sent over to them and they do it. They have like a task list for the day. So let's just say it's 10 projects, right? And I'm using arbitrary numbers. They have to get done those 10 projects by the end of the day. Doesn't matter how long they work on it. Doesn't matter what they do to complete it. To the best of their ability, they have to complete those projects. And then they can shut their laptop off and grab a six-pack, watch some movies, be on Netflix. Doesn't matter to us as long as they get the projects done. And then there's other people on the internal aspects that are not customer facing, but they're more like marketing related. And the story that I gave about investment of time, because I'm more on the operation side rather than the actual production side. My job is to ensure that the customer experience is to the best of our ability, and that we're always able to generate new revenue for the business. Hence why I'm on your lovely podcast. I would love for more people to know who we are.
It seems like a little bit of a gray area in terms of employee versus contractor. You say it sounds like you think of them as full-time employees, but technically they're not. What keeps them from being full-time employees?
Not living in the United States.
I see.
I mean, technically speaking, they are full-time employees, but like I said, like a United States accounting principle, we can't necessarily quantify them as like a W-2 employee, more or less. Everybody that we work with, for the most part, is in a different country. So they are full-time to us. But from an accounting principle, they're technically not full-time, but they are full-time in terms of they work exclusively with Penji. We have contracts with them. We have agreements with them. We have team meetings with them. We host yearly retreats and things like that where they can meet each other and all hang out. And it's a cool business to be a part of, and I'm very grateful for everything we've accomplished thus far.
So none of those people are you work in the U.S.?
Most of them do not. We have about less than 10 people in the United States.
Do you have a location, or is you fully remote?
Fully remote. However, we do meet from time to time in our local area of Philadelphia.
Interesting. And you referred to this being a subscription-based offering. How exactly do you charge?
So we charge anywhere from, our starting is around $995 a month. And we felt that number was justifiable because of just how much time it takes in order to hire an employee. But in addition to that, what we're able to produce at scale. We felt overall as a business owner ourselves that if we were to receive quality graphic design anywhere from $1,000, or at least not just graphic design, but just creative in general, anywhere between $1,000 to $2,500 a month is a justifiable expense that we ourselves would justify doing. So then we more or less turn that into the business model ourselves. Is if at any point in time we don't feel comfortable with this pricing, then we'll ultimately change it based on the market trends and service offerings, et cetera, et cetera. But $1,000 a month to us was more or less like a no-brainer, where you say, would you justify spending $1,000 a month in order to have all of your creative challenges met? If more or less what we found is that answer was yes, and that's what we stuck with in terms of pricing.
How do you define all of your creative challenges? I mean,
Great question.
How much should I expect to get for my $1,000 a month?
Yeah, 100%. So great question. I would say roughly from 15 to 25, 30 projects on a monthly basis. That project can be a simple logo design to a flyer. If you're looking for like more complex things, that's going to take a little bit more time, as you probably would expect. But we do find there are ways in order for you to upgrade your account in order to add more output into the business.
So asking for a friend, if somebody has kind of a community of small business owners with a website that's gotten pretty out of date, and I wanted to go to Penji to get help with that, how would I think about what I would have to spend and how long would it take to kind of refresh a website?
Yeah. So a website can be a little bit, I'll answer this in a different couple of ways, right? So from a customer standpoint that's listening to this and they're like, wow, I really want to consider Penji, seems really cool. If you were to redo a website from start to finish, from a design standpoint, it could be anywhere from like a week to 2 weeks to even 3 months, right? Just because it's based on revisions and feedback and things like that. If you are very well organized and you understand what you're looking for and you have a moderate vision, I think a website in itself, I myself have been able to do a website in under a week. That is the hardest part about designing creating a website, is the actual design. Now you can plug your idea right now into AI and you'll probably get a really decent response. In fact, you'll probably get a more than passable response. But I think overall, in terms of the aesthetic of the design, you always want somebody to manually manipulate it to the best of their ability, because it adds a level of personal touch that simply cannot be done by AI. But now you have a completed design. Now you need to code it. And whether you do it manually or using AI to code, or if you send it over to a developer, the cost in doing so is significantly higher if you were to ask a developer to design it and develop it. It's no different than building a house. So like if you give an architect the blueprints to a home and they know exactly where to place every single piece of equipment, significantly faster in terms of time. But if you ask for the architect to build it and to develop the house, it's going to cost you a lot more, but it's also going to take a lot longer.
Interesting. So it's possible the project could be done in a month?
100%. But that's only the design. Whereas when it comes to the coding, then you need somebody, a tech developer of some sorts, in order to turn that website, that design, into a workable website. And that's going to mean an additional cost. And what we've done as a business is we've actually acquired a company called Flow Pages and integrated them into our business, where if a client is asking for web design, they can also get it developed directly inside of Penji for an additional cost, but you don't have to go somewhere else in order to get it done.
I see. That development side of it is something that I keep hearing AI is going to handle for us. How close are you to just turning it over to AI?
We're already doing it. And I think it is doing a good job of it. But the unfortunate aspect of it, of this exact writing and time of recording, you still need a human being to monitor it.
I think that's true. I mean, I use Claude or ChatGPT to write copy for me, I would never publish some. I wouldn't even send an email without reviewing it. Is it that kind of human review that you're talking about?
I think so. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. I asked Claude to develop a what's called a Figma file, and a Figma file. It was able to get like 75% of it correct, but there's just some other like specific layers that they just didn't understand correctly, and so it's not going to be able to be like 100%. I don't think it. I hope that it never will be, because that eliminates the ability of having like a human touch it. Because I still believe genuinely that a human is needed in some capacity in to be involved in the creative process of any business. However, AI is making it easier in order for us to have accessibility to that.
I've seen quite a few predictions that AI is going to be devastating to digital marketing agencies.
Yeah,
What do you think it'll mean for Penji?
it means that we have to adapt. I think the one beauty of ourselves as a business is that we're a bunch of scrappy people that shouldn't even be where we are right now, but we are.
What do you mean by that?
There's no reason for us to even exist right now, in my opinion. Um, we are. I am not qualified to run a business. My business partner isn't qualified. We're a bunch of kids that went to Rutgers. We went to high school together. Terrible student. I think I got like a negative 14 on my SAT score. Um, we've only ever done this. We've never had real jobs. And we've also never got funding in any of our business. And we've been able to grow this business from zero to Inc. 5000, and with no help other than just pure grit and determination. And
Can you give us a sense of how big the revenues are, at least a range?
Yeah. I mean, it's in upwards of seven figures. And the idea of Penji specifically is just to be able to create something that a lot of people can use and a lot of people benefit from. And if our family and hoping that our families would able to prosper, and our customers' families and also our internal families are able to prosper because of it. We have no reason to exist other than the fact that we just don't quit. And so your question, Lauren, about AI is, well, yeah, I mean, AI is definitely coming for a lot of jobs, and you better be ready for it. But I think, in my humble opinion, an unqualified opinion at that, um, in order to survive this next generation, I think it has to be a physical element and also an AI element that allows you the ability to grow to that next level. And I don't know what it looks like just yet because I don't have that exact answer, but I would have a feeling that it's got to be a blend of AI versus like personal relationships. But with the foundation, or at least the capture, like the lead gen, like the funnel itself starts with AI as the curiosity, but then the physical element fixes it with the human capabilities.
What's your biggest fear of this transformation? Is it that Penji won't be necessary anymore? People will be able to just turn to an AI bot and get their needs satisfied?
Um, I guess I have two fears. The first fear would be disappointing my family, but in addition to that, disappointing the families, the employees that we pay, to not be able to come up with the right solutions to help their families out. I would say that's like two for me, because that I want to make sure that we get it right. Do I believe that Penji will always exist? I hope that it's the only thing that exists, to be honest. But I just think that we have to come up with something that is truly helpful, regardless of where the economics are and where the state of AI is. If Penji can come up with, if Penji can help other businesses at scale, then I think we're doing a darn good thing for society and the world. Whether that be that's the way Penji looks now, or a moderation of what Penji will look. I think we've always led with helpfulness. And I think if we continue to lead by that principle, I think we will succeed regardless.
You mentioned lead gen a little bit before. Have you figured out the secret to getting discovered on AI?
Slightly. I read this report where it was how AI is basing decisions, and it's all based on human inputs of mentions on whether it be social platforms or some type of citation websites like Reddit. Basically wherever communities are being held digitally is how AI is helping refine their decisions in order to present you higher on an LLM, or at least more often on an LLM. And I'm hopeful that remains true forever. But things like Google reviews, Trustpilot reviews, people talking about you on Reddit, or you yourself going into Reddit and having conversations with people, I think is huge factors when it comes to ranking higher on AI.
Do you spend a lot of time on Reddit?
Unfortunately, yes. But I do it from an SEO perspective rather than a genuine curiosity perspective. However, I would implore more businesses to simply ask for more reviews in their business if they're listening right now. Because I think it's an untapped market. I think people can proudly say we're the best in the world. Okay, sure, well, prove it. And I can assure you that their 15 reviews from a local business is not going to do it. I can confidently say that Penji is the number 1 rated graphic design service on the planet. And I'm not just saying that for a marketing standpoint. I'm saying that as a factual statement at the time of this recording in 2026, that we are the number 1 creative service, the highest ranked and most ranked creative service in our industry.
Last question. You obviously put tremendous energy into helping lots of clients with their marketing efforts. How do you assess whether a marketing effort has been successful? What metrics do you look at?
Money. That's it. I'm you want to know something interesting, Lauren? I got into an argument with, I have a couple of friends that just call me up sometimes, and I ask and they say, hey, can you join a meeting? And I'm like, sure. I'll join the meeting and I'll see where I can put input on. And there's this woman that, I had a conversation with, and she was like, well, this looks cool. Your ideas are cool and all, but it's going to make our algorithm look weird and our timeline look weird. It's not going to have a cohesive or brand consistency. And I said to her, why the F does this matter? Because at the end of the day, if it increases your bottom line and makes you more money, that's the only thing that matters. Who cares what you look like? If you look like an idiot, so be it. Guess what? You create another video, or you do another design, and then you come up with something else. Because people are number 1, people are stupid, and number 2, people are forgetful. So this amazing video that you spent hours upon hours editing and filming is going to be forgotten in less than 12 hours. So the only metrics of success, or the only metric of whether a marketing service looks good or not, is, does this increase the bottom line? Does this get new customers? And does this drive revenue? And if the answer is no, then you just wasted all that money, all that time, and all of that energy. And you probably should be just creating more, even if it looks stupid or looks weird. Just create as often as you can, as much as you can, based on your budget that you can, and see what happens, because nothing matters much anymore. The only thing that does matter is attention.
Jonathan Grzybowski is co-founder of Penji, which is based around Philadelphia. Thanks for taking the time, Jonathan.
Thanks, Larry.
And thanks for listening, everyone.